Hi, my name is Lita Mae Button. I'm a motivational speaker and coach. Before I get into this speech, Dildo Dilemma, Humor in the Face of Trauma, I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to yell the answer to this question. When I say ready, I want you to yell ready. Are you ready? Oh, I don't hear you. You can yell a little louder than that. Are you ready? Oh, that's much better. Unless you're 18 and under, I want you to cover your ears like this because this speech comes with an adult rating. But before I get into the adult juicy bits, I want you to think about the women that are in your life and that you know. Statistically, worldwide, 1 in 3 women over the age of 50 will experience a form of stalking or violence in their lifetime, which means that 1 of the 3 women that you know could be a part of this statistic. I'm going to bring you back to a time in my life that was one of the lowest that I've ever experienced. I was 22. I burnt a number of bridges with friendship and family in the past year because I'd gotten into a relationship with an emotionally and borderline physically abusive man. And I found myself at the age of 22 pregnant in this unhealthy relationship. And when I let him know that I was pregnant, things only began to get worse with him. And I knew that something needed to change. So, swallowing my pride, I asked my girlfriend if I could temporarily move in with her until I could figure my shit out. And when I moved in with her, things began to escalate with him. He began showing up to doctors' appointments, counseling sessions that I did not want him there for. And I began to wonder, where is he going to show up? And when he wasn't stalking me, it was the constant bombardment and harassment of phone calls from him, his parents, and friends. In less than a week, I received over 60 phone calls. But the breaking point was one afternoon when I was in my girlfriend's apartment alone, when he came banging on the door, demanding to be let in. And I said to him, no. And he quickly tried to climb through the window to get into the apartment. And I immediately picked up the phone to call the police. And because of his previous criminal record, this quickly deterred him from coming in, and he left. But that's how I found myself the very next day on my 23rd birthday alone in the Barrie courthouse, filing a restraining order and waiting for it to go through. And as I sat on that Barrie courthouse bench alone and tears slowly trickling down my face, I thought to myself, how the fuck did I get here? But I knew that I was there in that moment because I wanted some sense of control and safety back over my life again. And I knew that also that I never wanted to feel this way ever again. And so that March, my son was born. And the whole time I was in labor, I was afraid that his father was going to come rushing in and take my son away from me. Even though logically I knew that the courts would never let that happen, but emotionally, that was a different story. And a year after my son was born, he was diagnosed with a rare and at times life-threatening blood disorder called hemophilia B, severe factor IX deficiency. And I really began to wonder if all life had in store for me was sucker punches. But then I began boxing competitively. And boxing became my bright and shining light to cope with hope. Through one punch, one competition, facing one fear at a time in that boxing ring, I did it. I learned how to absorb the shock of life's blows and pick myself up off from that sucker punch that life had thrown at me and channeled those blows into empowering myself by tackling my fears in the ring. And I took back the power that was taken from me. And the sport of boxing taught me these three main principles. 1, protect yourself at all times. 2, stand your ground. 3, lightning-like focus. 1, protect yourself at all times. Be ready. I learned the ability to see what punches were coming at me before they landed, both in the ring and in life. I had an everyday awareness that I'd never had before. 2, stand your ground. In that boxing stance with that left foot in front, that right foot behind, and your feet like in a tripod position. I learned that foundation of that boxing stance and how to stand my ground with strength, power, and poise and speak my truth. 3, lightning-like focus. That no matter what noise was happening outside of that ring in my life, I developed that ability to cut out that noise with laser-like focus and be able to believe and achieve what I wanted for myself. And so, when you're watching this, I want you to feel the same thing, okay? Just stand up, make a little bit of room around for yourself. Feet are hip width apart. Did you do that? All right. Okay. And then you're going to take a big step forwards with your left foot, like you're going to walk and you're going to stop. And then you're just going to sit into it. And you're going to bring your hands up because the number one rule in boxing is to protect yourself at all times. Squeeze your abdominals really hard. Push your hips back. And that laser-like focus, and feel that strength in your core and your legs and looking dead straight ahead with that laser-like focus. I hope you felt that, because that's the power and balance and confidence that the boxing ring, boxing stance, and being in the boxing ring can give you. So these three principles gave me an awareness of strength, power, and pose, and lightning-like focus that caused a rippling effect into my everyday life. And I know it can do the same for you as well. So I developed the confidence to live life on my own terms and be the number one role model for myself, my son, and myself, and protect us if needed. And so for 17 years, the theme of my life was being a mother, nursing, hospitals, education, boxing, fights, and then full-time coaching. Then 2020 came along. Man, we all felt that hit. COVID. A sense of fear and division loomed over all of us. Yet as a family, we came together and we made a major life decision, deciding to move full-time from Ontario, Canada to full-time Newfoundland. Now, you're watching this. Maybe you have roots in Newfoundland, or you're even possibly from Newfoundland. So if that's so, just raise your hand. All right. And if you're not, I want you to get ready, grab your seat, and get ready for that adult ride. But before we get into that adult juicy bits, here are the basic facts about Newfoundland. It's the most eastern province in Canada, and also an island that is home to just over 500,000 people, with its own time zone. And I swear, its own season. Wind. Outside of summer, spring, fall, and winter, wind is a constant fifth season that happens for all of us. And so these facts are nothing in comparison to the names of communities that people call home in Newfoundland. Take, for instance, Blow Me Down. Yes, blow me down. That is a name of a place in Newfoundland. Like, what the fuck? I could just see it now. The original English, Irish, and Scottish settler dudes having some pints late one night, getting sloppy drunk when the topic of wives, weather, and their sex life, plus community responsibilities come up. The first guy's like, my wife hasn't given me head in ages. Second guy's like, fuck, I can't stand this wind anymore. And then the third guy is like, guys, we eventually gotta name this place something. And well, the first guy goes, this blows. And the second guy goes, yeah, it's like the wind can blow us down at any time. And then the third guy goes, probably with a little bit of a slur right now because he's had a few drinks. Brilliant! Blow me down! Name solved. And that's just one name. Then you have other community names that go in this order. Heart's Content, Heart's Desire, Heart's Delight. Then comes Dildo. I see you smiling. Dildo, a word that brings up images of an adult phallic nature. But can you guess what else the name of Dildo, Newfoundland, is claimed to be named after? And it has nothing to do with adult entertainment. You see, Newfoundland was originally known for its abundant cod fishery. And so Newfoundland has lots of what's called dories. And no, I don't mean Finding Nemo's partner in the movie Finding Nemo. Dories, littler fishing boats that were used over the years to transport thousands of pounds of fish from ships that were not able to come into the port because they would get stranded on the port, to transport the cod from those big ships into the shore. And on these dories, there were round wooden circular clasps that held the rows into place so that they could row. And these round wooden clasps were called dildos. But somehow, over the years, the word dildo turned into an adult phallic image that brings up funny chuckles. So I get why in 2019, the world famous, and now just recently canceled, comedian Jimmy Kimmel named himself the honorary mayor of our town in Newfoundland. Dildo, because it's funny. Yet, when I heard that, something just didn't seem right to me. How could someone call themselves an honorary mayor of a town that they've never visited, let alone a province, Newfoundland, that he's never stepped foot in? And there's also another comedian named Jerry D, who in the last year has been trying to make himself also the honorary title of the mayor of Dildo. And just like Jimmy Kimmel, he's not coming to Dildo or Newfoundland. In fact, he's been doing a Canadian tour for the last few months, and nowhere on that tour is Newfoundland. So it's something is really not right with this whole situation. It's almost like you could say a dildo dilemma. Dare I say it, it's time to put a woman in charge. Hashtag Lita Mae Button, hashtag honorary mayor of Dildo. But can you guess what else Newfoundland is famous for? Think really hard. Maybe you're searching on your phone right now. Well, it's iceberg. But there's one particular iceberg in general that went viral in the spring of 2023. A photographer from Dildo took a drone picture of this iceberg, proceeded to post that picture onto social media, and poof, within 24 hours, that picture went viral. And it got nicknamed the Dickie Berg. And this story made international news headlines. I guess people just really enjoy talking about dicks. probably why Trump is back in power. But a little less known fact, at the same time that the Dickie Berg iceberg was famous, there is another iceberg not too far away that was in the shape of fallopian tubes. And both of these icebergs were located in a place called Conception Bay North. And can you guess who lives smack dab in the middle of the story of Dickie Berg, right next to fallopian tubes in Conception Bay North? Yep, me. And to give you a full understanding of just how unique Newfoundland really is, Dildo is across the bay from the town of Spread Eagle, which is only an hour away from where Mr. Dickie Berg was located, which was close to Miss Fallopian Tubes, all located in Conception Bay North. You can't make this shit up. But now that I've gotten you to drop your guard with my jab of humor, I'm going to knock you out with my overhand right. Because you know what else you can't make up? Violence against women. It's a huge global issue. Worldwide, 1 in 3 billion women will experience a form of violence in their lifetime. 1 in 3 women globally, that's 30%, have experienced physical or sexual violence by an intimate partner or sexual violence by a non-intimate partner. 38% of murdered women are killed by an intimate partner compared to 6% of male homicide victims. And an estimated 1 in 5 women had experienced sexual violence in their lifetime. And many cases go unreported to authorities. And so this violence is costing the world a lot in healthcare, legal fees, and lack of productivity. In the US alone, it is costing up to $3.6 trillion. And so violence and trauma against women is very bad for our economy. So raise your hand if you love your family. I want you to think about all the people in your family, especially the women. What if you knew this was happening to your daughter, your cousin, or even your friend? How would it make you feel? Well, in my home province of Newfoundland, our rate here is 1 in 2 women will experience a form of stalking or violence in their lifetime. That rate is higher than the worldwide statistical average. So I've had enough of women hurting and not having a loud and proud voice without shame, guilt, or a sense of selflessness. And it's why I've begun my podcast movement, Dildo Dilemma, Humor in the Face of Trauma, which is about speaking up, sharing truth of stories, humor, and boxing to bring a sense of awareness, advocacy, and action taking to help eliminate violence against women in North America and worldwide. And why is this so important now? Well, we're in the year 2025, moving into 2026, and humanity has evolved into instant gratification, instant communication, and even AI forms of intelligence that we can have conversations with. Crazy, but still caveman ways of behavior and systems that support these caveman ways of behavior. And enough is enough. As women, we have birthed, we have healed, we have nurtured all of those around us. For women, it is time for us to fully step, all of us, into our power. We must collaborate, we must connect, we must show compassion to ourselves, most importantly, to our loved ones, and to our neighbors, letting go of the fears that divide us all. And so it's all about the positive energy that we bring to one another and we bring to women. And we bring to healing and collaborating, connecting with this world as opposed to fear that divides us. Oh, to give you a little demonstration of that energy and how we can build it with the fear, not the fear, but with the love instead of the fear. When I say cheer, I want you to yell here. Ready? Cheer. Here. I don't hear you. Cheer. Here. I don't hear you. Cheer. A little louder. Cheer. Amazing. You feel that? That's the positive energy and power we hold together. So the main thing though is that when we're looking at out there for the changes to happen, what happens? What do you see? Well, as I'm pointing my finger out there, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. So the most important place to make changes is within ourselves because there's 3 fingers pointing back at us when we're pointing out there. So I want you to affirm the change that you hold inside of yourself. And I want you to repeat after me. And I want you to say it 3 times. I am powerful. Say it. I am powerful. One more time and really, really feel it down to the tips of your toes and into your heart. I am powerful. Beautiful. Now, I am strong. Say it. I am strong. As loud and as powerful and as strong as you can now with all your cells in your body. I am strong. I can make a difference. Again, I can make a difference. I can make a difference. Yes, together, you, me, we can make a difference to help end the violence against women. And so I'm going to take you through a little bit of an exercise to help uncover those layers of motivation to help make a difference inside of yourself first and foremost. Okay. I'm going to take you through this coaching system that I've been using successfully with my clients for the last year called the Smart Heart so you don't fart on your health and fitness goals. All right. So we're here, and like I took you through my speech before we go into the Smart Heart so you don't fart on your health and fitness goals to deep dive through you. I'm just going to take you through a little bit more of a visual picture of what I just went through on my speech. So this is when I was 23 and I was pregnant with my son. And boxing, like I said, became my bright and shining light to help me cope with hope. And so the 3 main principles again are protect yourself at all times, stand your ground, lightning like focus. And over the 17 years, like I said, my theme was being a mother, nursing, education, boxing. I completed 45 amateur boxing matches and I won the 2013 light welterweight Golden Glove Championship of Canada. And then I turned into a full-time coach in 2015. And in 2017, I was voted Fab Female Health and Wellness Entrepreneur in Toronto, in the Greater Toronto Area. Right? And then COVID. And this is how I ended up in Newfoundland, moving from Ontario, giving the visual, to 3,000 kilometers to Newfoundland. Right? And we know already about Newfoundland. And so, you know, Dildo is a real place. And Jimmy Kimmel put this sign up in Dildo. Silly Jimmy the Chicken Kimmel. And this is the Dickieberg. The picture that went viral worldwide. So, like I said, statistically, worldwide, 1.3 billion women will experience a form of violence in their lifetime. And so to see more and follow along with my YouTube channel, you can do that under Punch Positive by scanning this QR code. Almost weekly, I have live podcasts of women that are coming on to share their stories and share their expertise. So here we are, the Smart Heart So You Don't Fart system, which is about deeper motivation for your health and fitness goals. If you haven't already, what I want you to do is click that link to download the PDF and follow along with me here and make notes as you're going. Okay? So we're gonna, this is about going deep. Okay? You get the results when you put the work in. And you can do it. I believe in you. Remember, I am powerful. I am strong. I can make a difference. And you're making a difference right now with yourself first and foremost. So you're going to flip past that page. So I have a little blurb, my bio again on the front, but you're going to flip past that page onto the second page where it starts with SMART. Okay? So we're gonna make notes and I'm gonna give you examples as we're going along. Oh, this is the QR code if you haven't downloaded it already, okay? Right? This Smart Heart So You Don't Fart is important because showing up is half the battle. Showing up for yourself is so important. And health is your number one wealth. And boxing is the fastest lasting way to get there internally. And I don't just say that because I'm a bit biased and I've done a number of boxing competitions. ESPN Sport takes all the Olympic sports and it's rated them. Okay. To be an athlete, it requires 10 different modalities to call yourself an athlete. So like strength, endurance, cardio, nerve, adaptability, agility, and a few other things. And what ESPN Sport is rates all the sports on those different modalities and then it averages them. And boxing comes out as number one. And you don't have to be a competitive boxer to get the same benefits. You just have to be willing to put the commitment and time into a minimum of a 12-week period to get started on that journey. So like I said, the system is about going deeper into your goals and meaning purpose so you have lasting, staying power to understand your deep motivation in terms of why you're on this journey for your most optimal health and fitness for you. And with the more that you empower yourself, the more that you're going to empower the other women in your life and those around you and have a rippling effect in this world. So you turn to that page by now. We're on the SMART goals. So we're going to go S is for specific, right? Define what, why, who, where, and when. Why do I want to achieve this? So for myself, I was on this boxing journey and it's rippled into a coach and now worldwide speaker because I want to be that number one role model for my son. And we really want to define and get a clear picture on all of this, right? So who's involved in this journey for you? Maybe it's your significant other. Maybe it's your sister. Maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's your coach. Write down who's involved. Where does the goal take place for you, right? Where are you going to show up for yourself on that timeline and schedule we're going to go over? So I coach a lot of people from home. It eliminates a lot of barriers for having to drive to the gym memberships, all that kind of stuff. And especially as women and nurses, there is so much dynamics that is going on that it's hard to having as much time to give back to yourself. Training from home eliminates a lot of barriers and it helps maximize the best bang and time for your buck. So that's where the goal is going to take place. That's an example of it. And when will it happen? Right? Timeline is certain. It's very, very important. So then SMART, the M, measurable. Track progress to know you've succeeded. So you need to be able to measure your goals so that you know when you've achieved it. So for my clients, I have them do, depending on their fitness levels, I have them do a fitness assessment and then track that throughout the different challenges that they're doing in the progress that they are making or they want to work on. A is for actionable. So we have to outline clear steps, right? Are you taking action steps to reach that goal, right? Like looking at your schedule, what days are you going to line this up and make a commitment or a date, whatever you want to word it that resonates best for you. R is for realistic. So if you're wanting to lose 50 pounds in 8 weeks and you never exercised before, that's not a realistic goal. We want to make it realistic and manageable so it doesn't become overwhelming for you. T is time-based. A goal is a dream with a deadline. We're coming back to that time frame, right? Because if we've always kind of got that goal out there and we don't have a set timeline for it, it's a lot easier to never reach that goal. And so you want to make sure that you're planning the steps and timeline around the goal to achieve it. And we want to make these SMART goals, take them, and make sure that they fit with your heart. Why heart, right? And this comes from Jimmy Quick's book, Limitless. I love this. When I read this, I was like, this is just a game changer, going to be a game changer for the emotional aspect of training for my clients. Because a lot of people, a lot of fitness, because I've been in the industry for well over 20 years, it's always about like, things are always about the SMART goals, but that's logical and brain. And we are run by our emotions and our heart. And our heart is the engine of life, the body's strongest electromagnetic force. It's 100 times more powerful than the brain. So if your goals don't align with your heart and that emotion's in there, you're a lot likely to sabotage. So our heart is that emotional compass that fuels our motivation and human connection. So H is for healthy. You want to make sure that your goals support your greater well-being and needs to contribute to your mental, physical, and emotional health. When I was going through everything with my son, I had a lot of emotions in that needed to be channeled and processed with everything that I was dealing with. And so the boxing journey that I took was all about supporting my emotional well-being and making sure that my emotions were in check so I could be regulated and show up and be the best mother that I could for him because he had no one else consistently in his life. E is for enduring. Your goals should inspire and sustain you during the difficult times when you want to quit. A is for alluring. You want to make sure that you're feeling pulled more towards your goals. You should be exciting and enticing and engaging. You don't always want to be pushing yourself to work on your goals. Just think about when somebody pushes you, it's like very stagnant, very dead kind of energy. You want to make sure you want to feel pulled the majority of times when you're working on your goals. R is for relevant. You need to know why you're setting the goal. This ideally relates to the channels you're having, your life's purpose, or your core values. And when we're talking about values, when we flip to the next page, we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. And it's important when you're looking at your values to choose the top 3 and make sure that your goals align with your values and connecting them together. And so this values list, when you click on it, is from Brené Brown's Dare to Lead list. And when you're looking at your truth, you want to align your truth to your values, right? Does this define me? Is this who I am at my best? Is this a filter I use to make hard decisions? And when you align these things together, your fitness goals and values, aligning your fitness goals with these values will be unstoppable motivation for you, right? Because the truth is about doing it because it resonates with you, not because somebody else told you to do it. Because if your goals aren't true to you and what sits right for your values, you're more likely to procrastinate and sabotage yourself, which leads me into fart. It's important to be aware of the farts that can come up. And this is from my years of coaching and the self-sabotage and obstacles that can get in the way of people wanting to achieve their goals, especially with women when we're dynamic and we're working and we're raising children, and some of us in sandwich generations, we're also looking after our parents. It's really, really important to be aware of the farts that can come along. So F is for fear. Most of us fear making changes. If you've never led a healthy lifestyle or know what being fit feels like for you, this can cause overwhelm and anxiety, causing you to stop because of paralysis by analysis. A is for attached. We must give ourselves permission to be detached to the process and outcome. We have to let go of guilt and shame when our plan is not executed properly. Think of loving kindness and patience with yourself just like you would with a best friend or your child or your patients that you attend to. R is for resistance. Because of our fears and attachment, we often resist the process, and what we resist persists. And finally, T is for temptations. Without knowing your why, temptations win. So you want to know what's truly in your heart. If you don't know what's truly in your heart and what your why is for what you're doing to help drive you towards your goal of the best optimal health and fitness lifestyle for you, it's really easy to give into temptations along the way. So we're going to bring it all together, right? We're looking at the SMART to set a structure and timeline for everything. Then we're using our heart to add meaning and emotions to our goals. And then we're watching out for those farts to make sure and avoid and troubleshoot any potential sabotage that comes up. And when you're aligned, you create unstoppable fitness, momentum, and that internal work for yourself. So my challenge to you is, if you haven't done it already, write your SMART heart goals out, put them into your daily plan and action and calendar so you don't fart on your dream fitness lifestyle. And October, I'm doing a free 5-day beginner boxing challenge from September 29th to October 3rd. And you can join me on these links here and connect with me to help keep you accountable and support, right? You can find me on Facebook, I'm Lita Mae Button, LinkedIn under Coach Lita, and then my website that's launching in the next week and a bit, punchpositive.com, and my phone number 647-247-3930, or email litamae@punchpositive.com. Thank you. Please reach out at all if you have any questions. And remember, health is your wealth, movement is medicine, and boxing saves lives. As a motivational speaker and coach, I strive for excellence to make health and fitness fun and easy for you as you age. Coach Lita, out.